This video is for practice 3B. In this video, we're going to learn how to add structural grids and columns. To start, we're going to open the project modernhotelgrids.rvt. We're going to start by opening the Floor 1 view. Double-click on Floor 1 to open that view. In the Insert tab, we're going to come up and we're going to click on Link CAD. In the Link CAD Formats dialog box that pops up, select the file Hotel Lobby Floor Plan.dwg. So .dwg means that it's a CAD file. Before you hit open, we want to look at the information down here. We want to select the current view only. The colors we would like to change to black and white. Layers we're going to keep as all. Import units we're going to have it auto detect. And positioning we're going to do auto origin to origin. Once all of those are set, we're going to say open. The linked file is now placed on the floor plan, Floor 1, that we have open. We're going to click on the linked file, and you can see that this element is pinned in place because it has the pin here. So that's going to preserve the origin of how that CAD file imported into Revit. We're going to right-click, and we are going to select Override Graphics in View by Element. In the View Specific Element Graphics dialog box, which is this that pops up, we want to select Halftone. So it's going to gray out the file so that we know that it's a background file that we're building off of. So it's just a flat CAD file. It doesn't have any 3D components at this point in time. Then we're going to click OK. We're going to click an empty space to release the selection or hit Escape on your keyboard twice. Now we're going to open up Floor 2. We're going to link the CAD file, Hotel Typical Guest Floor Plan, just like we did for Floor 1. So we're going to go Link CAD, and this time we want to select Hotel Typical Guest Floor Plan. We're going to make sure all the same settings are on as we had before, and then we're going to select Open. We're going to override the graphics, so we'll click on this, right-click, override graphics in View by Element, and then change it to halftone, and then say OK. So now on Floor 1, we have this lobby CAD file imported, and then on Floor 2, we have each of the hotel rooms that's imported. And now we're going to save the project. So do File, Save As, Project, and then change it to, I'm going to change it to be called Practice 3B, and then hit Save. Now we're going to move on to Task 2, where we're going to create a structural grid. So to start Task 2, we have to open Floor 1 back up. So I'm going to double click on Floor 1. And in the Architecture tab, I'm going to come across to the Datum panel. So this is the Datum panel, and I'm going to click on Grid. In the Modify Place Grid tab, the Draw panel right here, I'm going to click this tool, which is the Pick Lines tool. I'm going to select the first vertical grid line on the left of the linked file. So I'm going to select this, which is A. And then a new grid line pops up. So you can see the gray, remember, is our CAD file, and then the bolder element here that just popped up, this is my Revit grid line. So it says 1, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to type A, and then hit Enter. And then I'm going to continue selecting the grid lines. So you can do this one by one, you could go and then keep renumbering them, or you can just select them in a row. As soon as you change the first one to A, they should sequentially number after that. Okay, so you can see all those A through J have been placed. I can tell because they're bolded. The other thing I can do to check is I could right click on this and I could hide it in view element, and then you could see that the CAD drawing disappeared. It's hidden, but all my grid lines stayed. I'm going to turn that back on. Then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to just change, actually add these grid lines here, 1 through 5. So back to the architecture, grid, pick lines tool. I'm going to pick the first one. And now I'm going to renumber this though as 1. And that will allow me now when I pick the rest of the grid lines, they should number in sequential order. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so one thing you're going to notice is that the length of grid line 2 is pretty short, and the length of grid line 3 is pretty short. If you want to, you can extend these grid lines by pulling on the line here and aligning them with the rest of the grid lines. But since 2 and 3 are only used for these columns that are a part of the elevator, I'm going to leave them as shown. For task number 3, we're going to add columns. So in the Architecture tab, we're going to go to the Structural, in the Build panel, Structural Column. So column, structural column. Over here in the Type selector, I'm going to change the precast square column from 36 inches by 36 inches to 12 by 12. In the Options bar up here, I want to set the height so that the height of this column starts at floor 1, but it goes up to floor 2. So, because remember, I'm on floor 1. In the Modify Place Structural Column tab, we're going to click at Grids right here. We're going to select all of the horizontal and vertical grid lines. So I'm going to select all of the horizontal and vertical grid lines. And I can do that by holding down Control on my keyboard and then selecting each of the grid lines. And you can tell it's selected because it turns from black to blue. Okay. So as I was clicking that, it placed columns. Once I'm done, I'm going to click Finish. I'm just going to double check. Now I'm going to hit Modify to get out of the command. I'm going to double check I didn't place duplicates. I didn't. Okay. You don't have to do that. I just thought I did. So now we're going to delete the columns at A1. So A1 right here, this column's floating out into space. So I'm going to click on it, hit delete. A2, so this is A, this is 2, right? Delete that one. A4, right here in the stairwell, A4, delete. B1 and B4. Now just make sure that your columns display as shown in the figure in the textbook. So in the Quick Access toolbar, we're going to select the 3D view, and now you'll see the layout of all of your columns. Make sure that the columns are only set to a height of the second floor, so they only should be running from floor 1, from the base level, to floor 2 as the top level. And we set that previously, but if you're seeing one that's sticking up higher than the others, chances are the properties aren't set correctly. So make sure your properties look the way mine look in the book. We're going to select all the columns. You can do this by selecting each one individually. You can draw a box around all of them, or you could click on one, right click, and say select all instances visible in the view. In the properties, in the constraints area, so here where I was before, constraints, in the properties box, it says change the base level to top of footing. So the base level right now is set to floor 1. If we come across, it wants us to change it so that these start at top of footing, so TO footing. and then hit apply, and you're going to see that the columns drop down. Now I have a couple duplicate columns. I can see them. Maybe, oh, no, I don't. I'm sorry, they're just behind each other. So everything looks good. So I'll select that again. Now your base level should be top of footing. That means where they're starting, and they go up to floor 2. We're going to click in the space to release the selection. We're going to make sure everything looks okay, and then we're going to return to the floor 1 view, and we're going to save the project. So remember, we saved it as the practice 3B. And that's the end of that exercise.